Agentic AI is a real revolution. It's a real game changer.
Today, I'm speaking with Keegan Bakker, founder and CEO of Audata. Keegan built Audata from the ground up, helping media and entertainment brands automate processes and engage audiences with data-driven experiences. Now, Audata is using Agentforce to scale globally while maintaining its hallmark of exceptional service. Welcome, Keegan.
Thank you very much for having me.
Now, tell us a little bit, you've started an organization from the ground up here in Australia. You've grown it globally with customer service in mind, always as a top value. Tell us a little bit about that.
Audata is a software company that serves the media industry, and my background was as a radio presenter. And so I started originally about 10 years ago because I was at a radio station. I was like the daytime DJ, and we were giving away a lot of prizes. So many prizes like throughout the day. That's a big component of those big stations, and it was all pen and paper. And so I'd have, like, if you called up and be like, hey, you've won the tickets, and then I had to write down your name and email address and address and phone number and all that on a piece of paper. There was one time we gave away $10,000 and I lost the piece of paper, and that was a whole thing. I remember thinking, because I was like a hobbyist developer writing code, I remember thinking there's got to be a better way to do this. And so I made one night I made this app just for myself, which was, if you call up and win a prize, I can say congratulations, and then hang up on you basically, and you get a text message with a unique link. You put all your details in there on the form, and then it sends you updates about if you have to collect your prize or whatever. And I just made that one day for myself to use at the radio station I was on. And it's weird to say this, but it very quickly became the industry standard in Australia and New Zealand, and then grown around the world. And we've got some other products as well that support broadcast radio, television, but it was an accidental business, but it's been a really exciting journey.
That's truly incredible. That's a true trailblazer story. Now, tell us, as you were expanding globally, which became Asia Pacific first, and I know you went further across time zones, what challenges did you face, and how did you deal with those?
The biggest thing for us is always about customer success, which I know Salesforce is
one of our values.
I remember distinctly when I decided that it was going to be a key value for us at Audata. It was about 7 or 8 years ago. I signed a deal with a radio network in New Zealand. And what they did was they did a survey of the users in the business who were using the current product that we were potentially replacing, and said, what do you think about this product? And I remember them coming back to us and saying, the users were saying, it's not great, we don't like it, it's clunky, whatever. And my first thought, of course, was great, we've got the deal. But my second thought was, how do we make sure we're not...
You don't become that.
Exactly. We're not in that position 5 or 10 years from now. And so we really, really invest heavily in making sure that our customer success is forefront. We do direct to the end user support.
Let's talk a little bit about that. So you were very intentional in making sure that customer success is at the forefront. And you mentioned that Agentforce is helping you with that. So let's explain a little bit about how, firstly, what brought you to Agentforce and how you're using it today.
I mean, we use Salesforce for our service, and we've used Einstein bots, for example, which have been great, but agentic AI is a real revolution. It's a real game changer. It's a real game changer for us in terms of being able to scale our business globally. We're still at the beginning of what's possible with Agentforce.
Everyone is. It's all
I know,
new.
it's so exciting. Just the fact that you don't have to do complex flowcharts of of how the bot operates as previously
it's not
has
step
happened.
by step.
Exactly. You tell the agent what it has to do, and it does the job. And that's really amazing. So we've started implementing Agentforce inside our application for service. And obviously it can look at PDFs of our user guides. It can look at our knowledge articles. It can look at all that information. But where it gets really, really cool with Agentforce, what we've been able to do with the agent is allow it to look at our case history, thousands of cases. When someone asks the question, hey, how do I do this? It can look at all of the cases thousands of cases that have come before, but it can do it specifically for that account. There's no risk of data leak, of data for another company.
It's contained to the
It's
history
contained,
of that
but also
account.
it's personalized, and it can so it can provide them recommendations based on their configuration. Key thing for us is also about triaging cases. So when we looked at, as you mentioned, scaling globally, do we have the same scale of team that we have here in Australia and deploy them in another time zone? And what we realized is we only really need maybe 1 or 2 people to respond to the critical cases. And so Agentforce as well has allowed us to have someone, even if it's 1 or 2 people, online in other time zones, and it can answer the questions, but it can also determine if the question needs immediate attention.
So 70 to 80% of cases being maybe the first touch is the agent that's handling it.
Yes.
And then it's determining the agent, is this the kind of case that I could answer straight away, just based on a typical question, on the history of that account, but otherwise allow you to deliver that exceptional customer service to that real needy customer that you want to be able to connect, and you don't want them waiting around.
One of our customers is a Australian state-owned broadcaster, and we provide their messaging service. So people text in, and when there's natural disasters, floods, bushfires, they use our service to message into those local radio stations and provide MMS images, etc. In those cases, particularly, people need
Life
if
and death.
something's exactly,
Yeah.
and so if something's not working, they really need to have an answer. They don't want to just get recommended a knowledge article. Yeah, so instead of having 10 people online in another time zone, we're able to have 1 person online just to handle if there's a critical case, and Agentforce can sort of triage the cases.
We're in customer service, so let's talk about that. What other use cases or departments are you thinking to deploy agentic AI in Agentforce?
The one we're looking at the moment is Revenue Cloud, CPQ. So we've had CPQ with Salesforce for many years because it allows us to go back to customers, and because every one of our customers has a very bespoke kind of contract, and we can go back and tailor and adjust the contract to their needs. But it's still complex, even though Salesforce with CPQ has solved so many problems for us with that. It's still a complex process for salespeople that have to be trained on how to do it.
Correct.
Whereas what I'm really excited about is a salesperson in Salesforce talking to Agentforce in Salesforce or in Slack maybe, and just saying, hey, my customer wants 3 more licenses of this. Can you generate a quote for me? Boom. Like
that's incredible.
That's really cool.
So that would reduce your time to quote, which is obviously a key metric. You want to be able to receive that business and get it done as quickly as possible.
Exactly, and also following the guardrails as well. So if this product goes in the quote, it also needs product X, for example.
Yes.
So
yes.
Being able to have that, so it's really exciting. And again, we've built a lot of our business on Salesforce products. So the fact that the agent has access to those to that data is really cool. Is really exciting.
That's interesting, because I don't think a lot of people realize that when they first hear about AI, agentic AI, they think, okay, I've got this consumer technology, I can immediately bring it to my organization. But this key that you're referring to as the unlock is access to your trusted data.
Yes.
But maintaining the guardrails of who should have access. So certain accounts. So maybe just unpack, how I think maybe just help articulate that for our audience, because some people don't realize that data and the agent have access is actually the key for the success.
Well, I think it's twofold. On one hand, there's the benefits of it, because you've got, if you have Sales Cloud, you've got all the sales data in there that the agent can have access to, and if you've got Service Cloud, it can have so on and so forth, which can give it enable the agent with better abilities, but also the guardrails as well. Having it on an enterprise cloud that's secure and trustworthy and has those guardrails is very important, particularly because AI is, exploding at a rapid pace. And for any business, whether you're a small startup, SME, or enterprise, obviously there's a huge appetite for adoption, but doing it safely, ethically is incredibly important.
Yeah, especially when you pride yourself on being a brand that cares about the customer and maintaining that. Tell us a little bit about, some organizations might think, well, this is only for the big end of town. You mentioned small businesses. Like, do you have like a huge IT department? Is this you still doing it? Like, who is doing this, and how hard is this for an organization? You mentioned user partner as well.
Yeah, we have 14 employees.
Wow. So that puts it all into perspective.
Personally, I actually set up our previous Einstein bot, which I was
Okay.
kind of proud of. A little bit of a
You're a trailblazer.
yeah, a little bit of a flex, a little bit of a Salesforce admin. Able to do that, but it still was quite complex when you wanted to get really advanced. But what's like real, like it's mind-blowingly cool about Agentforce and agentic AI in general is you just use plain
English.
You just tell it what it is and what its job is.
Let's talk a little bit about bringing your team along. Were they all as excited as you? Were they worried about this technology? Did they see it as an opportunity? Talk us about what you did there.
If your team are scared about adoption of AI, then you don't have an AI problem. You have a
Culture.
a culture problem. We've been using Gen AI tools for a few years in software development. We've used tools to help us write code, etc.
Yes.
But our engineers aren't worried about that. And I like to think that's because we hire people, not positions. We don't put a job description. Here are some tasks that someone needs to do. We hire someone to do those tasks. We find, and it's easy when you're a smaller business, I understand. But we find someone that we really want to bring into our team, and we do, if we can afford them. And then we find ways to leverage their talents. And I like to think that our team are not worried about AI coming into the business, which is going to happen to every business in some way, shape, or form, because their value to the business is culture, its ideas, its vision. There's so much more. And so I actually think of this as a opportunity for businesses out there with AI coming in to look at your culture. And if you think that AI is just going to replace humans for certain tasks, then maybe you should look at how you can leverage those humans better.
But yeah, we're completely on the same page as a company and also personally, where I feel, firstly, the AI is going to augment humans, right? We mentioned before the customer service example, where now they're able to help in those more complicated examples, but also to your point, and I love that you hire people for their role, not necessarily the task they're doing. Yeah. Because there's many tasks we're doing now because the systems we put in place mean they have to do those tasks,
yes, exactly,
right?
Yeah.
No one really wanted to do those tasks.
If you've got a human being in a role and their job is to just to type this thing from here into this system and then an AI can replace that, then you're not leveraging. You've got a human being sitting there. A human being can contribute so much to your organization, not just typing a thing in. So let the AI do that and let the human being contribute in much more meaningful ways.
There are a lot of folks that are sitting on the fence because they just don't know whether the risks outweigh the benefits for them or how to get started. Should they be looking at use cases? Should they bring a team in, like a partner? Should they do a hackathon? Like, what should they do?
All of that is good. My personal thought is I don't think there's any business or industry that can't be improved with AI, particularly if you're already a Salesforce customer. If you've got sales data sitting in Sales Cloud, if you've got cases sitting in Service Cloud, adding the AI magic to that could be
differentiate
amazing.
Your business as well.
Yeah, exactly. But I would encourage everyone just to think about just one small thing that might be a point of friction internally or externally. I doubt very much there's a business or industry out there that doesn't have something that they can apply, just that one small thing to.
Would you recommend the CEOs lead this? We have other folks who might be from the IT department, from marketing.
That's a great question.
Who should lead this?
Everyone. That's a great question because, again, it's something that, you might not be the one that's actually going in and setting up the agent, even though you can because it's easy, but everyone should be involved. A lot of enterprises can get stuck on paralysis by analysis. They can spend
and which
6
department
months
owns this, right?
Exactly. Just give it a go, but bring everyone into it. The CEO, but also everyone else. When we deployed our agent, we talked to customer success team about what they wanted out of it and what they wanted it to do, and the cases that come in that they thought were really annoying that they wanted to make sure that this could deflect for them. And our engineering team, had thoughts as well. So yeah, bringing everyone in, I think, is important. It's a team effort.
I love that. Well, thank you so much, Keegan. You are an entrepreneur. You're a success story. I hope the continued Agentforce trailblazer here as well. But thank you for sharing your story for us today, because there's many folks that are just getting going. They're going to get a lot of value from your advice and for being an amazing customer as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Leo.